Massacres have been committed in rural areas and peripheral neighborhoods in Port-au-Prince. And when I went there to La Saline with the victims and the families of the victims, they explained clearly that they are linked to the demobilization of the population. We are talking about iconic neighborhoods that have been historical protagonists of the large mobilizations against the government that we've seen since 2016, and the neighborhoods that have been supporting the first government, progressive government in the 90s. So these communities, every time there is a mobilization, uh, requesting the ouster of this government, these armed gangs surround the communities, preventing them to leave their territories to participate in demonstrations, and threatening those people if they organize the demonstration. So there have been death threats against these communities. Those groups have been armed, financed by the government. Today, in Haiti, we have more than 500,000 weapons circulating illegally. A country that a few decades had no weapons. Many of those arms arrived through illegal trade, through the United Nations, but also sent from the US. And we talk about this infiltration of weapons. We can say that it is a speculation. However, you can go to news and sources, and for instance, in international airport, they have detained citizens from the US, bringing with them high caliber arms and telecommunication equipment and so on. So this proliferation of armed groups have a political role, and it is clear that that's the strategy of social control used against the people by the ruling class and its international allies. We cannot understand this proliferation of armed groups if we do not understand the large mobilizations where we saw 1.5 million people in the streets. So given the size and the quality of demonstrations, the ruling class that cannot control these demonstrations through security bodies such as the police, well, they have resorted to the paramilitaries. And this is clear in Haiti and in other countries such as Colombia and in Central American countries. Also, we have the international front. We cannot understand what is going on in Haiti if we ignore what is going on in the geopolitics in the Caribbean and the interests of some European powers regarding this small country. Haiti is not poor, I repeat, it is very rich with natural resources. After the earthquake in 2010, this entente of international groups, this core group, they organized the reconstruction of Haiti through 4 axes of development. They are not there for development, but rather to promote their companies and to insert them into a global project. We have the enclave policies, as it is done in many other Caribbean nations. Another initiative has to do with the mining projects in Haiti. There is a constant presence of large mining Canadian and US companies. They have bauxite, gold, etc. And they're interested in exploiting these minerals. They've been made major progress, especially in the northeast and northern part of the country. Another project has to do with the tax-free zone, attracting the peasant population to manufacture products to export. So produce products that won't be used in the country, but will be exported, and everything that Haiti needs for survival is imported. We have the flagship companies that have the transnational agricultural activity whose markets are in Europe and the United States. And the last project in Haiti has to do with large industrial parks, the classical Maquila project that we find in other countries in the region. And according to Bill Clinton, the idea is to transform Haiti in the Taiwan of Latin America to produce electronic pieces, etc., and to use a pauperized labor with the lowest wages, without labor rights, to export these products at a low price. And so large companies could have extraordinary rent and profit exploiting the Haitian labor. So here we find economic interests, but also geopolitical interests. It's difficult to understand.
Es difícil entender el apoyo de los Estados Unidos al gobierno
The
de España.
support of the US to the government of Moïse. But you need to understand Moïse, that has been a key ally in the Caribbean, that is devoted to lobby the Caribbean region, that is against Venezuela, Cuba in the UAS, in the Caribbean community and the UN. So the fact that Haiti is totally aligned with the United States has given immunity to the Haitian government. The CARICOM has a lot of tensions because of the interventions of Haiti against Venezuela and Cuba. The other colleagues could add other elements. However, what I wanted to say is that the current juncture is characterized by the attempt of Moïse to continue in power with the assistance of the US and the UAS. The Haitian government has proposed a constituent assembly by the end of July, and legislative elections and presidential elections in September and October. And I think it is important to discuss this element, because foreign actors might think that it is very democratic, a de facto government trying to regularize the situation. However, the Haitian electoral system in Haiti is totally is very, very weak. To convene elections in Haiti means to support fraudulent elections as we have had in the past. So it is very clear that the popular movement in Haiti is requesting a government to conduct reforms and then convene through free and fair elections, and not the rigged elections organized by Mr. Moïse. There are other challenges. First, to say that these elections organized by Moïse will generate more demonstrations and rejection, and we will be pushed back by the population. And on Haiti, there is a permanent threat of occupation. Always the ruling class that, given the fact that they cannot resolve their own crisis, they resort to the United States to organize more occupations, invasions through international bodies such as the UN. So we need to have mobilized constantly to make sure that it is up to the Haitian people to resolve this without foreign interference. Also, we have problems with the grassroots movements. They continue to have a large possibility, capacity to mobilize a very strong political consciousness, but social organizations have been very much hit. First, because of 15 years of international occupation and repression of the grassroots movements, and also because of the